indictment for murder, guilty, indictment for murder, guilty.
Justice was done.
It gave a voice to Maggie and Paul Murdaugh, who were brutally mowed down and murdered. We can't bring them back, but we can bring them justice.
And he may be taken away.
That was a moment many of us saw right here on Court TV. Alex Murdaugh being found guilty of the murders of his wife, Maggie, and his son, Paul. Over a year later, the conviction of the once prominent, now disgraced attorney is back in the headlines as the South Carolina Supreme Court has agreed to hear Murdaugh's appeal, all centered around alleged misconduct of former clerk of court, Becky Hill.
Why did you think the jury would not be out very long? Had you communicated with jurors?
I had not communicated with jurors about anything related to this trial at all. I've been a court reporter for at least 14 years. I was clerk of court for 3. And you just get to where you kind of see things happen as they progress. And it's a guess, it's a gut feeling. And that's all that I meant by that.
Now, jurors from his murder trial are breaking their silence on the jury tampering allegations. So why now? Why at this time? I'm so pleased to welcome in now a member of the deliberating panel. She was known as Juror Z for a long time, and recently we got to learn her full name when she did an interview with Fox News, Mandy Pearce, and she is joining us live this morning on the program. Mandy, good morning to you. Thank you for coming on Court TV with us.
Good morning.
Mandy, tell me, as you sit here today, I'm sure people have to be asking you, or people at home watching this may be wondering, why come forward now and speak out now about this?
I guess, with Myra's new book coming out, I just was going to be there with her, and just some of the things that happened.
Okay, and taking these in turn, Myra, you're referring to Myra Crosby, who was known as the Egg Lady for a long time. She was dismissed from the deliberating panel because of speaking about the case to 3 people. She's writing a book, you said.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And then the other thing you said, in addition to that, to support her and be there with her in the interview, you said some other things. What other things, Mandy?
Other things, like, what do you mean?
Well, I was just asking you what you mean. You said, I asked you why speak out now, and you said, well, partly because Myra's book, to be there with her, and then because of some other things. I just wanted to know what those other things are.
I guess because, it's kind of hard to say. I guess because they're trying to throw his case, well, not throw his case, but they're trying to get him another appeal. And they had an opportunity for us to come out there, and I just came out just to tell my side.
And Mandy, you were the only juror on the panel who said at the hearing conducted by Justice Toll that you were improperly influenced by Becky Hill. I want to take a listen together to some of what you said, and this is where you discussed the point where you said Becky Hill told you to, quote unquote, watch his actions.
Did you hear Ms. Becky Hill make any comment about this case before your verdict?
Yes, ma'am.
If yes, what did Ms. Hill say?
To watch his actions.
To watch his actions. What else?
To watch him closely.
And then the justice then asked you, Mandy, how did those statements influence your verdict? Would you answer that question here for us, please?
That she made it seem like he was, already guilty.
And so when you were deliberating, walk us through that, please. Are you saying that the statements affected your deliberations, or were you unable to separate them from, the facts and the evidence? And, is the oath that you take, says you must just focus on what's presented in the courtroom. I guess kind of explain to us how those statements might have influenced your ultimate decision.
Well, at first I voted undecided, and then, like I said, in the other interview, that some of the other jurors and some just thinking about, like, everybody was ready to go, everybody was ready to get it over with, and so then that's whenever I had voted guilty.
Mm-hmm. And I want to welcome in now your attorney, Joe McCullough, friend of Court TV Network, been on many times before throughout the progression of the Murdaugh case. I told our viewers earlier, and so you both know, full disclosure, we had a lot of tech difficulties connecting with you both, and we were also trying to connect with Myra Crosby, the egg lady juror, as she became known as well. As Joe, you represent her too. So Joe, kind of take us back to when you came to represent both Myra and Mandy, and kind of walk us through how you've guided them throughout the process after the trial in making notifications, particularly Mandy here, notifications about improper influence.
Sure. Good morning, Julie. I first became involved when Myra Crosby asked if I could get the press off her back, so to speak, and similarly, sometime thereafter, I began conversations with Mandy for the same purpose and talked with a couple of other jurors. Somewhere along in those succeeding months, the defense began to contact jurors, and that was in support of their ultimate motion for a new trial. The defense contacted me, and I did not contact them. They asked if I would allow them to talk to these two jurors and any others that I was involved with. I made arrangements. I didn't go to the meeting. They interviewed them, and they secured from both these ladies affidavits. And I will say this about Myra. Her book, as she has said on other programs, and I regret she couldn't be on today, her writing a book was a matter of frustration. It was not a book she began to write while she was on the jury, unlike others. In Mandy's situation, she obviously struggles with you a little bit this morning. This television thing, being on television, being the center of attention, it makes her uncomfortable. I think her affidavits, and there are two of them, speak for themselves. And I sympathize with you, Mandy. I think this is just hard. It's difficult being in that very small community. But I think that what, as she has explained it to me, and I'm not trying to put words in her mouth or interpret for her, but the sum total of her affidavits were that the clerk of court's conversations with her and with the jury were such as to influence them in a way to reach a guilty verdict. That's my understanding from her. That's what I think she told the court. That's what she placed in the affidavit. And she said in a subsequent affidavit presented to Justice Toll that she felt pressured and had Ms. Hill's will imposed upon her to reach a guilty verdict before she ever walked in the jury room. And then, of course, the jury room was a different kind of a crucible. But there was pressure from both directions, Julie.
Joe, appreciate that. I have another clip, and Mandy, this is a clip during that hearing with Justice Toll, where you're talking about Becky Hill pressuring you to speak to the media after the verdict. Let's take a listen to that and to Becky Hill's response.
After the verdict and immediately before sentencing, Ms. Hill pressured the jury to speak as a group to reporters from a television show. Is that an accurate statement of what she said?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you at all pressure the jurors to speak, or did you just tell them that it was their option to speak or not, and here's the contact information?
I did not pressure the jury to speak.
Okay, so you hear what Becky Hill said there under oath. Mandy, what's your response to that?
When we were deliberating, it was more of like it felt like, like she was trying to get us to like hurry up. Like, that's the way I felt. I guess it's kind of hard to think about it now. But I know the smokers in there, they were ready to leave. And I don't know.
And Mandy, let's talk a little bit about the verdict. The jury unanimously voted guilty. You were one of those guilty votes. At the time, the judge asked all the jurors to raise their hand if they were in agreement with the verdict. You did. Then the judge even went through the polling of the members of the jury and asked all of you individually if you agreed with it. You said yes. Are you saying today, here and now, you no longer agree with the verdict that you made?
I still had doubts about the verdict, even after, whenever I was finally at home and started thinking about everything. I wish that I could go back and change it, but, I can't, so.
Tell us, please, Mandy, what makes you go back and wish you could change it?
I still had more questions that I felt like didn't get answered. Sorry. So I guess if I could go, go back and redo that night, then I probably would have said not guilty.
For what reason, Mandy?
Because of, like I said in the other interview, they never found their murder weapons, and I know they don't find them all the time. But it just felt like they never looked for anybody else.
And I had a little difficulty hearing you. Did you reference the murder weapons a moment ago? Is that what you were saying? Just Joe's nodding. I just wanted to make sure I was clear.
Yes.
Yes. Go ahead, please. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, like I said, they they never found the murder weapons. And I know, like, on the other interview, a lot of times they don't find murder weapons.
Do you think Alex Murdaugh disposed of the murder weapons?
I can't say that. I have no idea.
Now, tell me, in going through this trial, being a deliberating juror, you know, and was one thing, and then all the aftermath, and we're still in the aftermath, right? I mean, we may not even have a firm resolution depending on what the Supreme Court in South Carolina decides. Mandy, what's it been like for you? Give all of our viewers watching at home an idea of how this trial has changed your life.
It really hasn't changed my life much. I don't really pay too much attention to, like, social media because everybody is entitled to their own opinion. The only thing that still kind of sticks with me with the trial is the pictures of Paul and Maggie, because they were gruesome. But that is basically the only thing. So, like I said, I don't really get on, I get on social media, but if I see anything that's about Juror Z, it really doesn't, I ignore it.
You're smart to do that and talk with your attorney, Joe McCullough here, can help guide you, through all of this and what comes next. Mandy, thank you for being so open and answering our questions this morning. We really appreciate your time. And Joe, wanted to offer you the last word here. Is there anything else you think that's important for people to know about this process, or for what, or with what your clients, Mandy Pearce with us today, and then Myra Cosby, the quote-unquote the egg lady, your other client who unfortunately we couldn't connect with this morning. Anything you'd like us to know?
Yeah, Julie, thanks. Two quick things. I won't make a summation, but I think it is really important for viewers and people to understand it's natural for people to second guess an important decision they made. What Mandy and what Myra have experienced here is a second guessing that began with their concerns that the state had not proven its case before the jury room was ever entered by the jury. They had questions then. Myra was then removed. Mandy continued. She had questions because of what was told to her by the clerk of court, as she has said under oath. She had questions going into the jury room. So now, today, this morning, still having questions. It's not like she woke up yesterday and decided, maybe I made the wrong decision. She's had that concern, and that's why she's come forward, because she feels, as Myra Crosby feels, and other jurors testified and have talked with the defense and have experienced or expressed the same concerns. Now, I will say secondarily, responsible commentators should be focused on the jury tampering element of this case. I know a commentator on your program yesterday criticized these two jurors for coming forward, criticized them for breaching their juror oath by talking to the clerk of court or saying that they talked to the clerk of court. That just is wrong-headed, and it just doesn't accurately reflect the system. The first thing the jurors were told by Judge Newman at the beginning of the trial, your guide through this process, your liaison with the court will be the clerk of court. So it is quite natural when the clerk of court, that person who is in charge of you for the next 6 weeks, comes to you and asks questions, as these ladies have said occurred, and then used her position to persuade, as these ladies have said. There's nothing mysterious about that. There's nothing untoward about that. There's nothing improper of these jurors responding to the person they've been told is in charge of them. So for a commentator, a lawyer, to say there's something wrong, that's just shows a lack of knowledge about the process.
Well, and I believe what was said wasn't that it was wrong. If my memory serves me correctly, Joe, what Attorney Eric Bland was talking about was why now? Why now are your two clients coming forward? Why speaking out? Has there been any influence, anything at all that's occurred, you know, from the time the trial ended till this point? So it was more in the form of a question. But this is why we give everybody a chance to speak. Yeah. This is why we wanted to ask your clients directly. And we actually, you know, wanted you all to come on that day after we saw that the Fox interview was done, and there was unavailability, as I understood it, with your clients. And so Eric, who represents 6 of the other jurors, just said that they were not improperly influenced. So at any rate, the court isn't going to consider anything that's being discussed on this program. It's only what's in the transcripts, as you know, Joe, that they're going to consider as they make their decision for Alex Murdaugh. But it's been wonderful talking with you both. We'd love to consider continue the conversation. And if you'd consider having Myra pick another date that might work well for her, we'd love to speak with her too. Mandy Pearce, Attorney Joe McCullough, thank you both kindly. We'll see you soon.